Human rights group Jamaicans for Justice is urging the government to heed what it implied about the continued use of states of emergency to fight crime. Executive Director Michael Jackson says Friday's judgment in the Roshane Clark matter is very clear. More in this report.
Under pressure, the Andrew Holness-led administration following the judgment in the Roshane Clark matter on Friday. The Supreme Court said several provisions under the regulations governing the SOE were unconstitutional, unduly giving the authorities unfettered power to abrogate the fundamental rights of a wide class of persons in society without showing they were reasonably justified for achieving the purposes of the SOE. Michael Jackson is Executive Director for human rights group Jamaicans for Justice.
And we see where several constitutional rights of Mr. Clark were violated. The point of note here is that this is the second landmark ruling around the SOE in a matter of less than 2 years. We make reference to the Everton Douglas matter, where 5 men in that particular case were determined by the court to have been detained illegally by the state agents. For example, there were no clear evidence to suggest that the men were involved in any illegal activities whatsoever.
But despite the criticisms about the extended use of states of emergency, the government declared yet another SOE hours before the ruling.
We believe that the government ought to have taken pause before announcing the state of public emergency at 8:30, when it is that the country had expected to hear the ruling of the Roshane Clark matter. And what that suggests is that the government has scant regard for the court and their independence and the decisions that they ought to see as binding somewhat or guiding them in how they utilize crime-fighting measures without trampling on the Constitution and the rights of the Jamaican citizenry.
Meanwhile, JFJ has also taken issue with the recent comments by Prime Minister Andrew Holness that the government's response to crime is being hindered by legal challenges and the constant debate about human rights.
We hear sentiments that justice should be blind. We agree with it, but we certainly disagree because at times justice must be there. Because as much as we want justice to treat persons equally, we can't be selective about what equality means. We must listen to the voices of the victims, but we must also respect the rights of the accused. And we cannot go down the slippery slope on the assumption that those who are presumed innocent ought to be treated guilty first. That goes against the fabric of the Constitution and what we mean by due process.
Anthony Log, TVJ News.